Welcome back to 52 Moments, where I answer things like,
What is wrong with you?
or,
How have you become so awesome?
or even,
Why are you so weird?
as best I can. Along the way, I hope you'll learn more about me. So let's get to it. Today, I am going to be talking about a public slice of paradise. In other words, Beacon Hill Park. In other words, Meegan. Meegan is the name given to the region by the First Nations peoples. Beacon Hill Park is what James Douglas called it when he set it aside as a covenant with the city as a public area in perpetuity, not to be used for commercial enterprises. That part's been a little bit controversial over the years. But overall, Beacon Hill Park has been etched into my DNA, basically, because it was non-commercial and it's a free public park. We went there a lot when I was a kid. I have lots of photos of me like this one where I'm hanging out. I was 2 in that photo. I took my own kid there later. They did the same thing as me, sniffing the flowers. It's one of those places that I can't imagine not existing. It's been there for, well, like I said, since about 1858 in its current-ish form. Although at various points it has had different uses. The Circle Drive that still exists, which you can't actually drive around right now, used to be a racetrack for horses. There's a cricket pitch. There's a lawn bowling club. I have actually lawn bowled there. I have not played cricket. I do not understand cricket. There is a putting green, which I have played on. There is a children's farm slash petting zoo, whatever you want to call it. That opened in 1975, so that is definitely, as far as I can remember, has always been there, even though it opened after I was born. There are 2 children's playgrounds and loads of lakes and gardens. Now, some of the gardens are very much landscaped. There used to be a very formal rose garden within the park. They have slowly been returning to a more natural landscape. The area itself is an important part of our Garry Oak ecosystem, which includes things like camas, which is a food plant important to the First Nations. There are many species that once flourished there, which are no longer found. And part of that is because things like daffodils took over. And you can still see that now when you look down the hill toward Dallas Road from Beacon Hill, the top part. In the spring, you will see a blanket of both daffodils and camas, and they're kind of fighting for space. Anyway, Beacon Hill Park is one of those places where I spent a lot of time as a child. I spent a lot of time there as a teen, and then I kind of forgot about it for a few years. I went back during Luminara, which again was controversial because it was too close to being commercial for some people. um, I have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours in that park. Um, the slide that was there as a kid terrified me. I had to go hunting, and in fact, I put out a call on Facebook, like for a photo of this slide, and this is it. I swear as a kid that thing was 2 stories tall. It felt much bigger. I occasionally climbed it and flew down that very hot metal slide, more often you would find me on one of the swings. Swings were more my thing. In the background of the slide photo, you can see some of those swings that did the tilt thing, like the seats folded when they went up. It's hard to do with my hands, but yeah. And I used to love those, and especially as a teenager, we would sit there like in the wee hours talking about philosophy and I don't know what. Because we were broke. uh, very briefly as a child, um, I went to a school, a preschool that was right next door to Beacon Hill Drive-In, which is outside of the park, but it's close. And that school closed, and then I was shuffled over to South Park Elementary, which is also just outside the park. But that was the format of that school was such that it was child-driven education, and this child just wanted to play in the sandbox all day, and my parents decided I wasn't learning a damn thing, so they pulled me out of there. But briefly, that was also the neighborhood where I went to school. So it is part of my background. It is part of my life. Like throughout my whole life, I have used that park as a measure against all other playgrounds and parks that I've encountered in the world. I had my grad photo taken there. I was super proud of that grad photo, by the way, because the photographer had it on display at his studio. And I was stunned because up until that point, I'd never had a formal portrait other than, my school pictures every year. So that was the first time I'd ever had a photographer tell me how to move or sit or turn, which is why it looks as good as it does. You can go there for concerts. They've held B-movie festivals in the band shell. I have attended a lot of parties there. And Pokemon Go. When Pokemon Go launched, that was one of the best places in town to go because it had a lot of the Pokestops and people could throw lures on them. So there was always plenty of action in the park. And I will still go there sometimes if I want to just catch a lot in a short time frame. Because it is Pokemon dense. So now you know another thing about me, and I hope you'll come back again and learn more. Thanks for joining me. Bye.